This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It's Friday, July 10th, 2020. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. And by way of explanation, the reason we had a sudden replay yesterday where I didn't even disconnect the video or anything, I literally broke a tooth mid-morning, and I had to go to the dentist for an emergency repair because it was doing what broke teeth do, and it was hurting like all get out. And that's the reason we had to put a replay on that. But I'm all glued back together, at least for the moment. And so today's show is live. All right. So we have got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to play the same rules again. I'm going to talk until I run out of news. Then we're going to open the phone lines. Hour number 2, the lovely Lady Claire will be joining us with her unique perspective on the world. So let's get right into it. First of all, if you're an astronomy buff like me, there is a new comet in the sky. It's called Neowise. And it's the brightest comet in years. Some are saying it's the brightest comet since Hale-Bopp. And at the moment, it is an early morning object. You get up about 4 o'clock, and it's off to the northeast. Roughly the same level, well, depending upon your latitude. It's basically north of the planet Venus, which is an easy mark. And we put a link at whatreallyhappened.com that goes to an article with a bit of a map. Now, toward the end of this month, it's going to become a sunset object. It's going to swing over on the other side of the sun, and you'll be able to see it in the evening. It's naked eye visible, better in binoculars, better still in a moderate-sized telescope. So that's something that something exciting to do with the kids, when you can't go to the swimming meet or anything else with all this COVID-19 stuff. Stay home and get into astronomy. All righty. Let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell, or however it's pronounced here. And I keep hearing different people calling it. It's the pimp. Let's talk about the pimp. Okay, feds are so worried the pimp might kill herself in jail. They have given her paper clothes and taken away her bed sheets. Yeah, okay. And then there's another story. Official feds feared Epstein confident might kill herself. They're telegraphing this already. Maxwell suicide. It's almost like a neon billboard. She's going to kill herself. She's going to kill herself. She's going to kill herself. Apparently, back in 1996, one of the victims of Epstein and Maxwell actually went to the police. And this was Maria Farmer. She said she told the FBI and the New York Police Department in 1996 that Epstein and Maxwell had sexually molested both her and her sister. She also said that Maxwell had subsequently threatened to destroy Farmer's artwork when Farmer fled after she was allegedly abused. The NYPD referred her to the FBI regarding allegations of assault. Nothing was ever done. And reporters were asking the NYPD, why did you not follow up on this? Back in 1996, the attitude basically was, if a woman is complaining about abuse, you do something about it. And the official response from the NYPD is no comment. So somebody was protecting Maxwell and Epstein all the way back in 1996. And again, it's sounding more and more like he's somebody's intelligence operation. By the way, Alan Dershowitz is in Epstein's little black book. More and more names are leaking out. And of course, they're all denying that they did anything. He just collected important people, and I'm an important people. And that's why my name is in the book. And let's be honest, Epstein did invite people to his little island getaway for purposes other than having them seduced by an underage girl like Stephen Hawking. He just wanted to say, Stephen Hawking's been here. A little bit of vanity here. Now, interestingly enough, there was a Reddit account which quit working literally the moment the pimp got arrested. And they're wondering if this was her account under a false name. And whoever was running this Reddit account posted about everything from Israel to legalization of child porn. This thread ran for 14 years and then fell silent on her arrest. Media gets you over time. All righty, getting on over to Michael Flynn. The judge in the Michael Flynn case, Emmett Sullivan, the one who is ignoring the appeal court recommendation to dismiss the case, has asked for a full U.S. Court of Appeals review to rehear his case against the dismissal of prosecution. That means all the judges in the appeals court, not just 3, but all the judges. Now, this petition for rehearing comes after a 3-judge panel on the D.C. Circuit granted Flynn's petition for a writ of mandamus on June 24th, directing Sullivan to dismiss the case. A writ of mandamus is a message to the court: you must do what you have to do. You can't just sit on it and draw it out anymore. And so we'll see what's going to happen there. But at this point, the full appeals court is saying we may not hear this until after the election anyway. So it's a moot point. Now, as you know, yesterday the Supreme Court ruled on some of Donald Trump's tax issues and basically said that Congress can't subpoena the tax records just for a fishing expedition, but that the prosecutors in the Southern District of New York did have a legal right to subpoena those records, and they're proceeding to do that. Trump is very unhappy about all this. He's calling it a political prosecution. And he came out on Twitter and basically said, you know, it's all a political persecution. The courts in the past have given broad deference to the president, but not me. Donald, you're coming across as a little spoiled, and that's not good during election season. In fact, right now, I think the less you say, the better, at least on this issue. Of course, he's certainly not Joe Biden. Let's be glad for that here. Okay. Interestingly enough, Trump's 2 Supreme Court picks, Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, ruled against him on the Supreme Court tax returns case. And the court ruled that his financial records can be handed over to a New York grand jury in a decision supported by 3 conservative justices. It was a 7-2 ruling. Court found that a subpoena issued to Trump's accounting firm, Mazars LLP, can be enforced and dismissed Trump's lawyer's argument he is immune from criminal proceedings. I have to agree with that one. Just because you're president doesn't mean you're above the law. Some presidents have acted like that, such as Richard Nixon, but it shouldn't be that way. The president is an official on the same level as the Supreme Court and Congress. Apparently, Biden went out to another press conference and apparently bungled saying "Buy American." A lot of people are commenting. Donald Trump is out there saying, you know, "Buy American, hire American." Biden is out there campaigning with virtually the same issue, but he's trying to say it differently to make it less obvious that he's copying Trump's position on this thing. And so, as usual, he scrambled the words. And they're calling it a low-energy campaign event. And I saw an article here on Fox just a little while ago where they're talking about they're not going to let him out. They're still worried about 3 presidential debates that are yet to come. But at this point, they're saying Biden needs to stay in his basement because every time he goes on out, you know, if it's scripted, if it's staged like that last press conference, he can handle that. But when he's out there talking extemporaneously is when he just comes up with these huge, huge gaffes. All righty. Apparently, there was a video of Biden mumbling, and social media Dan Scavino, featuring an edited clip of Joe Biden, was labeled by Twitter's manipulated media. The official has now come up with a new cutting of a recent Biden speech, which some say does not present the presumptive Democratic candidate in the best light, and it's triggered a meme contest. See who can make the most fun of the candidate here. Now, yesterday we were talking about Jonathan Lopez, who's an Oregon politician, and he's confessed to forging a racist letter and then mailing it to himself so he could go on out there and say, "Feel sorry for me, vote for me, the racists hate me." And apparently the letter said Mexicans like Lopez are not welcome here. America's for the God-fearing, pro-gun, pro-life humans who refuse to be controlled by the government. It's a fake. It was a complete fake. And there's been another one now. This one was reported today. Texas A&M police have halted their investigation into an incident in which a man reported racist notes left on his car after the alleged victim stopped cooperating. Apparently, the police asked him some questions he didn't have answers for, and he basically shut up and went away, and the police have stopped the investigation and said there was no racism, there was no hate crime. I'm glad people are becoming aware in general that there is such a thing as hate crime hoaxes, because it is a fact of life, and lives and careers are destroyed with these things. Look at how many careers Tawana Brawley wrecked with her fake rape hoax. And it happens an awful lot. Reporters in the corporate media, they don't care. They've got a spectacular story. Let's go with it. What if it's not true? Not our problem. The editors will publish a retraction somewhere buried inside. Okay, getting to the international news here. Pentagon Chief Esper confirms a probe is in progress over the leak regarding Taliban bounties and how that got to the press. And the New York Times claimed anonymous intelligence on the Russian cash rewards to Taliban-linked militants for the killing of U.S. and coalition troops in Afghanistan. This is a major scandal in Washington, D.C., denials from the White House, Moscow, and the Taliban itself, and demands for Democrats for new sanctions against Russia. So the Pentagon has ordered a probe investigating the leaks to media of intelligence about the so-called Afghan bounty story. Actually, this is falling apart. This is another Russiagate. It's another made-up story. Didn't last all that long, did it? These days, the lifespan of a government lie can be clocked with an egg timer. Down in the Florida Keys, they've had an outbreak of dengue fever. They've just marked their 11th case. And I guess for the Florida Keys, that's a really serious situation. But they've got dengue all over the Pacific. It's in Hawaii on the Big Island. It's down in Tahiti. I remember I flew down to Tahiti, and only when I was getting off the plane on the tarmac was there somebody saying, by the way, you might get exposed to dengue fever here, which didn't happen. I did get a minor case of it on the Big Island, Hawaii. And dengue is kind of funny that way. Most of the people who get dengue aren't aware they're sick. They're not symptomatic. And then there's about another 25% who come down with like a mild flu. That was where I fit. And it's only a tiny, tiny percentage where it goes full hemorrhagic. So now the Florida Keys have to deal with this thing. Tyson Foods, because of the problems with coronavirus outbreaks in meat processing plants, and nobody seems to understand why it's so favored. I mean, there's raw meat and blood all over the place. But apparently Tyson is now starting to automate their factories with robot butchers. And it's just kind of interesting to see that assembly line going along with the carcasses of cows, supported by the new EZ4, and these robots with these blades, just cutting them apart and taking them apart, wrapping it all up, sending it to the stores here. Okay, Operation Warp Speed has awarded Novavax $1.6 billion with the B dollars for COVID vaccine. And with U.S. equity futures under pressure Tuesday morning, it's not surprising whatsoever that hopium-inspiring vaccine headlines are hitting the tape. Novavax was awarded $1.6 billion in funding via Operation Warp Speed to support large-scale manufacturing of NVX-CoV2373. Which is the latest attempt at a vaccine here. Interestingly enough, they've discovered, I don't know how, but they discovered the tuberculosis vaccine will lower the possibility of a fatality in a COVID-19 case. This is just a preliminary study, and they need to have some follow-ups and confirmation. But it is interesting, and it suggests that the pathogen in this case, the virus, the COVID-19, is very fragile and delicate. Seems like a lot of things can wound it, limit it, slow it down. They just can't find a way to kill it without killing the host. The World Health Organization is finally admitting that an airborne spread of COVID-19 cannot be ruled out. The other day, more than 200 scientists basically signed a letter telling the agency, you can't say it's not airborne. We're seeing too much evidence that it is. And if it is airborne, then those masks really aren't worth all that much, because the space between the weave of the cloth, especially those homemade ones, it's like taking a dried pea through a cathedral door. It's a good analogy. And that pea is what you're trying to keep out. So WHO has changed their guidance, and they're acknowledging the possibility COVID-19 might be spread in the air under certain circumstances. Okay, apparently China initially blamed Norwegian salmon for the new coronavirus outbreak. And now they've backed off and said, no, it's not the salmon. We don't know where it came from. But there is a new version of coronavirus making the rounds in China. Also, there's apparently a nasty pneumonia that is actually far more deadly than the coronavirus that's just come on out up there. Okay, stocks slide as Biden vows to end shareholder capitalism and raise corporate tax rate to 28%. And let's see how they're doing over there. Okay. S&P forecasts 2.1 trillion with a T in global bank credit losses over the next 2 years. A lot of problems in the banking industry here. Nearly 24 new Tesla owners sign on to a lawsuit alleging that the Model 3S will go through what's called unintended acceleration. In other words, you're driving along or even at a stop, and all of a sudden the car takes off on its own. So there's a bug in there somewhere. And the unintended acceleration issue had been brought to light in the Model X and Model S, is now showing up in the Model 3. And we've reported on an array of Model S accidents over the where cars have driven through the front of shops. 2 of them happened in 1 week back last March. Now, Elon Musk claims Tesla is close to a fully autonomous car. Again, they've said that before, then everybody backed off and said, well, you're still in charge of the car. You got to have your hands on the wheels and stuff. I haven't test driven one of these cars. I really should, if I'm going to honestly report on all of this. And just as a complete side note, Claire and I had an absolute thrill this morning. We were out doing errands. There's some construction work down here on Christmas Way. And we're driving along, and all of a sudden there's a car headed right toward us in our lane. And fortunately, I was able to pull off to the side of the road, but the guy was driving the wrong way on the wrong side of the street. There's never a cop around when you need one here. Now, as far as Elon Musk himself is concerned, I think he's our generation's version of Howard Hughes, who was into all sorts of things. He was rich because of the Hugh Tool and Die Company. And then he went off and he made movies, and he built airplanes, and he built the Spruce Goose. And he was just into all these different things. And I think Elon Musk is the same way. And I would think that, yes, there's a lot of pressures coming from the car company, but it must be fun being him with all the things that he's got going, especially SpaceX. Oh, man, SpaceX are doing such great things. I understand that Boeing's Starliner is in serious, serious trouble. And they're going to have another test flight this fall, but apparently they're not able to keep up with SpaceX here. All righty. Wells Fargo is now demanding clients who refi their jumbo mortgages to have at least a $1 million balance in their bank accounts. All right. The U.S. is finalizing a federal contract ban for companies using Huawei and other Chinese tech giants. China itself is going to try and use their control over the Panama Canal as an important means to encourage global trade. All right, we're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be back after these few words.
Honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And a reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network and whatreallyhappened.com are in a perpetual state of fundraising. We're having to go through another round of buying new equipment to replace the old equipment that's frankly falling apart here. So the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. The network thanks you. Anyway, before the commercial break, we went on to this story about how China to further use the Panama Canal as an important means to encourage global trade. Now, a little background. Obviously, the United States built the original Panama Canal. And some years back, there was a deal where basically they gave the canal back to Panama, and Panama turned around and allowed a Chinese company to take over management of the canal. And everyone's saying, oh, bad thing, China's in charge of it. They can block off our shipping, which they haven't done, by the way. They're running the canal to make money because you do have to pay to use the canal. It's a lot less than having to sail around the tip of South America. And the Chinese have built a new canal parallel to the old one that is considerably wider. And that means that larger cargo and container and tanker ships will now be built to carry a larger cargo through those wider locks. So kind of good things here. Anyway, when asked about the canal's significance to China, the spokesperson's office said it connects the Atlantic Pacific Oceans, the East and the West. This is of great importance for water transport and the economy. Adding, the Chinese people have long-standing ties with the Panama Canal, as many ethnic Chinese people participated in its construction, expansion, and administration. So there's that. Almost 50 million Americans have now filed for first-time jobless benefits since the lockdowns began. And yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. First time. Worked their entire life, the first time they're having to do that. Now, this is a bit of a shocker. The Supreme Court has ruled that nearly half of the state of Oklahoma is an Indian reservation. And of course, this is going to affect the 1.8 million people who live in that part of Oklahoma. For one thing, they no longer owe the state of Oklahoma state income tax. Now, of course, there could be a reservation tax. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's a big chunk of the map. They could almost be a state themselves. Now starting to refer to that as Indian country. Apparently, George Orwell, despite being dead for 70 years, is now a target of the cancel culture. And apparently this left-wing journalist called him a vile man who aided the Nazis with his criticism of Joseph Stalin. Well, you know, I'm getting old and my memory isn't what it used to be, but I seem to recall when I was growing up, we were told that Stalin was a bad guy, that he deserved criticism. Anyway. I mean, not during World War II. During World War II, the Russians were our allies. But this cancel culture is getting ridiculous. And I'm not surprised that a bunch of liberals, no less, got together and penned an open letter saying it's time for this to stop. Unfortunately, some of them have already backed away and tried to distance themselves from the letter, which means they're being harassed and annoyed here. Okay, here's another good one. And it proves what so many people are saying. The people with all this cancel culture and knockdown things, they don't know American history, because Black Lives Matter supporters have vandalized a statue outside a black church in New Albany, Kentucky. The church has been there for 170 years. It's the Second Baptist Church, and the statue is of a former slave, Lucy Higgs Nichols, who escaped slavery carrying her baby. That's the statue Black Lives Matter just defaced. By the way, Lucy Higgs Nichols went on to be a nurse for the Army on the Union side. Why would you deface a statue like that? There's nobody in that statue who's white. There's nobody in that statue who's a slave owner. Are you guys even thinking about what you're doing before you do it? All right, Donald Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, is back in jail. Apparently, he broke his curfew by going out to a restaurant after his curfew time had gotten up for that day. And apparently there was concern that he went ahead with writing this tell-all book that he was planning to do, even though the court had told him he can't do it. So he's back in jail for right now. All righty. Now, here's something that long-term listeners, readers will know already, but Russia's top security official says the United States created and nurtured the Taliban militant group in Afghanistan in a decade-long covert operation. Frankly speaking, it was the United States that laid the foundation for the Taliban movement. Head of Russia's Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev, said in an interview, yeah, we knew the Taliban was originally working for the United States. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late-night premiere show, The Red Pill Hardcore, is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
Welcome back to our show here. So we're talking about this interview that was given by the head of Russia Security Council, Nikolai Patrushev. And the interview was given with the Argumenti Fakti Weekly last Tuesday here, basically saying that the U.S. created and nurtured the Taliban. Well, the U.S. has done that many, many times before, not just with the Taliban, with ISIS, with Al-Qaeda. The U.S. loves to create the enemies that they use to justify invading other people's countries. You know, oh, there's Al-Qaeda over there. We've got to invade. Got to save this country from Al-Qaeda. Oh, my goodness, Al-Qaeda's over in that country now. Well, we have to invade, save that country from Al-Qaeda. This is not an invasion. We're not taking over your country, but as long as we're here, talk about the oil. The United States is building a new air base in Syria. Boy, I remember not too long ago when Donald Trump was out there saying, well, we're going to pull out of Syria. And everybody said, yay. Anyway, the United States has built a new military base, including an airport for military aircraft for its occupying forces in Syria's northeastern province of Hasaka. Local sources told Syria's state news agency Sana on Wednesday that the new base and its airport had been established in the Jazeera region, located between Kahif village and Tal Alu silos. So, the sources said the American forces, along with the U.S.-sponsored so-called Syrian Democratic Forces brought in equipment and logistic materials and set up buildings there. They constructed an asphalt road leading to the silos. All righty. The spokesman for the Yemeni army has censured the United States as the conspirator of the Saudi-led military onslaught in his country. Well, we've known that too. Saudi Arabia was a proxy for U.S. ambitions in the area. Over the past few days, Yemeni armed forces have discovered large quantities of U.S.-built munitions at the positions of Saudi mercenaries loyal to the ex-Yemeni government, while conducting cleanup operations in the province of Marib and al-Baida. This is Brigadier General Yahya Saree said at a press conference. Okay, when they talk about the ex-Yemeni government, they're talking about the government that was deposed, talking about the government that was elected, that was a legitimate government for the people of Yemen, that were then driven from power to be replaced with the internationally approved government. See, that's the new cover story for taking over somebody else's country. We're not taking them over. We're just putting in a new government that's approved by the international community, because the old government didn't meet our approval. I hate to be old-fashioned about it, but really, a government needs to only look good to their own people. Other countries really are not in a position to judge them unless they're willing to go to war, which is what's happening. It's just very, very covert here. Great Britain has resumed arms sales to Saudi Arabia and says that the war crimes being reported in Yemen, they're all isolated incidents, and it's not a pattern. And, you know, money is money, and we could use the money, and the Saudis could use the weapons. And, of course, this is what's keeping that conflict going, the easy availability of weapons. Speaking of weapons, apparently our latest aircraft carrier is in trouble. The U.S. Navy has fired the head of its USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier program. The warship is far behind schedule and over budget, plagued with malfunctioning systems and costly repairs, even though it has yet to be commissioned in the Navy. Now, Captain Ron Rutan has been removed as head of the Ford's program office, according to Naval Sea Systems, which announced his transfer to its office last week. The Ford program will now be headed by Captain Brian Metcalf, who previously oversaw the San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock program. So we've been hearing about problems with the Gerald R. Ford for a very long time. The United States Navy wants 8 warships equipped with the Odin laser defense by 2024. And so a senior U.S. Navy figure working on directed energy weapons let slip recently that the service aims to put 7 more laser defense systems on its warships by 2023. The Navy mounted its first such device on an active duty destroyer earlier this year. According to Frank Peterkin, the senior technologist for directed energy, the U.S. Navy aims to mount 7 more optical dazzling interdictor Navy, hence the acronym ODIN, laser defense systems on different warships over the next 3 years. Interesting that they call it a dazzler, and no doubt it is, but it seems to indicate that it lacks the power to actually visibly bring down, for example, an incoming sea-skimming missile. And if I were somebody who was building those sea-skimming missiles, I'd figure out what frequency the lasers were operating at for this Odin system. And I'd put some dichroic filters into the systems of my weapon to filter that out before it even gets in there. Okay. There's an article. They're still talking about J.K. Rowling. This is from Russia Today. And there was an article titled, "As a trans woman, parent, and teacher, I say J.K. Rowling is absolutely right. It's child abuse to push kids toward changing sex." I agree with that. These kids are not old enough to even know what sex is. I mean, they understand there's a group of human beings who are different than they are, boys and girls. I remember back when this whole unisex thing was going, and they would put boys and girls into a room with all kinds of toys. And inevitably, the boys would play with toys that boys like to play with, and the girls would play with the toys the girls like to play with. And these are very young children. So it's instinctive what we are drawn to. The guys drawn to guns, tanks, boats, planes. And the girls are drawn to more domestic type toys. But J.K. Rowling is right. Boys are boys and girls are girls, and that's it. That's all there is in the DNA. And everybody's out there saying, well, I'm 2/3 boy, almost 1/3 girl, and 1/1000th Cherokee Indian. They're deluded. They're absolutely deluded. Anyway, but J.K. Rowling is absolutely right. It is child abuse to push kids toward changing sex. Why are you even talking to kids? It is child abuse. Why are you even talking to the kid about this prior to the age of, for example, 18? Let them be children. They only get to do it once. Growing up is a one-way street. They don't get to go back to believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Rabbit and the Great Pumpkin. Okay. Apparently, the Gulf of Mexico and the U.S. East Coast should brace for a heavy slate of hurricanes after a top U.S. climate researcher predicted one of the most active years on record for tropical storm activity in the Atlantic Basin. And of course, they have a tropical storm that is impacting New England this weekend. And as a matter of fact, Donald Trump has canceled his Saturday rally in New Hampshire out of concern that people should stay home, stay off the roads. And they'll reschedule for some 2 weeks down the road. But it's going to be a bit of a mess. Proving Mother Nature is still calling the shots out there. Okay. Now, a lot of people saw the movie Jurassic Park. A lot of people consider it sort of the bellwether, if you will, for computer animation. That was when computer animation went mainstream in Hollywood. So obviously I'm fond of that film. One of the dino stars of the film was the Dilophosaurus. And apparently new fossil finds are showing that it was larger and more powerful than it was portrayed in the 1993 film. But there's no indication that it could spit venom. Well, of course they're making stuff up. It's a movie. The raptors, as portrayed in Jurassic Park, were larger than the fossils being found. Now, they've since found raptors that are roughly that size. But yeah, movies are not real life. They never have been. Even movies that claim to reflect real life. It's a recreation at best, and there's going to be changes. The only way you get truth in a movie is if it's a documentary. Okay, according to anecdotal accounts, farm animals and pets often behave abnormally in the hours leading up to earthquakes. In fact, over in China, they actually have an earthquake forecasting center set up where there's just a whole bunch of animals under observation. And if they start acting weird, they put out the alert. And they have, in fact, a track record of calling most of the quakes before they hit. So there's something going on there. But a new study by German scientists provides scientific evidence to support claims of odd animal behavior prior to earthquakes. The research suggests that animals may indeed provide valuable clues to when and where earthquakes will occur. Speaking of earthquakes, back on March 31st, they had a 6.5 magnitude quake that rolled across Idaho. And through the Sawtooth Mountain Range, they're still getting aftershocks. Now, technically, in theory, you can get aftershocks for years after a big quake. But they're definitely getting them, and a lot of people are very, very concerned that something may be building. Now, let's see. Looking at a map, looking at Idaho, looking where the quakes are originating, it's right on that line that would reach from the Yellowstone supervolcano magma chamber through across to Oregon. Possible connection with the ocean. All righty, we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines now. You can call on in with your particular interests here. Okay, over in the Southwest, they've had a warm spring, and they're concerned about a mega drought. And one of the reasons they're concerned about a drought, there used to be this wonderful water transport irrigation system that turned the western deserts into arable farmland, but it's not been maintained. And right now it's only delivering about 1/3 of the water that was originally designed to provide. And so a lot of places are subject to desertification. They're going back to being sand. And it's another case of having a good idea and building some infrastructure and then just dropping it, letting it go away. I was watching a show the other day that was talking about how often water mains break in New York and how badly the entire system needs to be replaced, and nothing's being done. The money's all being spent picking up statues knocked over by Black Lives Matter. All right, we're going to take a phone call from Jim in Illinois. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Michael, a couple of things, and I'll be real quick. Yesterday, the Supreme Court did the right thing by telling Donald Trump he's not above the law. But
yes,
yet and still, he said it was a political witch hunt. Doesn't he remember 2 of those people that voted against him are the ones that he nominated and appointed to the Supreme Court?
Yes.
So isn't that like criticizing the people that you claim you really like? But that's not unusual for Donald Trump. He will backstab you in a minute. The other thing, have you been noticing or heard about at kids' summer camp this summer? Kids are being tested, and some of them have positive results from this virus. And I don't know why people are trying to say we have to open up the public schools as foster Trump. Aren't they concerned about the safety and the lives of these young children? In fact, yesterday in Texas, a girl 11 years old, she died from the virus.
I think we're all suffering COVID fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really tired of the face masks. Now we're being told that COVID may be airborne and the face masks may be useless. We're tired of the constant stream of misinformation that we're being given. We're tired of having to stay at home alone. I mean, we've lived here now for about 10 months where we are in Santa Claus. And our next door neighbor actually works along the same lines that I do in the kind of things I'm interested in. We want to have them over, but we can't because they're scared about this quarantine thing. And so literally for 10 months, we have not been able to do more than wave at them, which they wave back.
Oh, wait, listen. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. Your turn.
But I'm in the same situation. I live in Chicago. I used to love going out to restaurants and movies. Not anymore. But what choice do we have?
Well, everybody has a choice ultimately, but just down the road, you may realize you made a wrong choice. That's kind of what life is like. The other thing we have to be aware of is exaggeration. People like to exaggerate things to make them sound more serious. The other day, I think I mentioned that there was a story going around that our local supermarket had 3 tested positive for COVID-19. We talked to the store's manager, who's very, very angry because it was only 1 that tested positive, who has now been sent home. And he's concerned that, it's going to impact customers coming into his store if there's a rumor that 3 people were infected. And we reminded him he's the only such store in the town, so it's not like we've got any place else to go without a half-hour drive.
Wow. Well, Michael, I'm going to let you go because I know you have other callers. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot. Same to you. We're going to switch over to Mo in Florida. Hello, Mo. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Michael. I've been a long-time follower of yours since you started, and, I haven't been able to get into your show. Sometimes I don't know how to log on. I've identified myself as computer Luddite, but I have a question. But before that, how come sometimes I can go on YouTube and I see you live, and then I can't find it. I go to republicnetwork.com. I can't find it. Am I doing something stupid or?
Well, the website for Republic Broadcasting is republicbroadcasting.org. And there may be another Republic out there.
Okay. How come sometimes it comes right up on YouTube and then it don't?
That's YouTube being YouTube. You know,
Okay,
but
that's what I thought. Okay, .org. Got it.
you know, David
Okay,
Grant.
thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome. You're welcome. David Grant gets that put up every single day as soon as the show is over, and then of course there's that other gentleman whose name eludes me at the moment, who's keeping a permanent
Gibson?
archive of all. Yes, that's it, Ron Gibson. And
yeah.
so
Okay.
the information's definitely out there, and you know we're working towards improving the show, the quality of the show, the quality of the feed, and turn it into something a little bit more competitive. I may even get a green screen back here, but
Well, I go on the your website and it says, click here for the live broadcast. I click here and it goes nowhere. I'll go to the .org now. I mean, I feel stupid. Okay.
well, that only works when the show is live.
Well, that's when I usually go. But I'll find it now. If that's what you're telling me. I know you know what you're talking about
You
when
have
it comes to the
video.
IT.
You have to, after you click that link, you have to click videos. We got to let you go. Take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company. And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Dave in Boston. Hello, Dave. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Listening to you. Oh, yes. Michael, aloha.
Yeah, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was listening to your rebroadcast yesterday, and you were talking about the controversy about the name of the Washington Redskins football team.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, I suggested a long time ago, Michael, on some other radio show, a local radio show about 2 years ago when this hoo-ha-ha first came up. But, Michael, I think there's only one answer that'll actually keep all parties happy. And I'd like to humbly suggest changing the name of the Washington Redskins football team. Change it from the Washington Redskins to the Washington Rednecks. How about the Washington Rednecks?
Oh, well, I don't have a problem, and I'm not a football fan.
Yeah, I think that'll keep everybody happy, especially the Rednecks. You know, let's give a little honor to the Rednecks. You know, but you know, on a more serious note, Michael, sometimes the hypocrisy and the double standard that white people just take for granted, and they've just accepted kind of like their second-class status. What I mean by that, you know, routinely in our culture, white people are referred to as rednecks, especially white Southerners, but just country folk and everything as rednecks. Can you imagine, Michael, if white people went around calling black people blacknecks, or if they went around calling Asian people yellownecks, or even if they went around calling Native Americans rednecks and everything, and yet we just
where that originated?
Huh?
Do you know where the term rednecks originated? Was from cheap red bandanas, and when the people working the fields would sweat into them, the dye would come on out and dye their skin. That's where that originates.
Oh, okay. I've heard a couple of different stories, but that's one of because when I think of a redneck, I think of all kinds of positive things, just in the sense of just a hard-working guy, maybe the kind of guy that says grace before he eats with his family at night, the kind of man or woman that, you know, when they put their kids to bed at night, says a prayer with them, put them to bed. You know, to me, I think of all positive things. To me, it connotes a person of people of real character, of real good old-fashioned solid character. That's what it connotes to me.
Well, I think Jeff Foxworthy would have some other definitions of what it takes to be a redneck. Back down to the local hardware store, they've got this calendar, page-a-day calendar, you know, and it's always, you might be a redneck if, you know, you've got 6 cars in your front yard and only 2 of them work.
Yeah, he's the guy that made up all those redneck jokes, huh? But so anyways, I guess that's about it, Michael. Today, I was just going to comment. I don't know if I'm a weirdo or if anybody will go on board. Will go, especially with President Trump in the White House. They call him Orange Man, the Golden
David,
Orange.
I got to let you go. David, I got to let you go.
Okay,
We have to commercials.
Aloha. Yep.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. We have 2 callers waiting right now, James in Tokyo. Hello, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I just want to say if I knew it was you and Claire driving, I would have stayed off the gin and kept in my own lane.
Okay. Well, I want you to know you owe me a new seat cover in the car. Can you turn down your computer?
Okay, hold on. Is that better, sir?
Much better, thank you.
All right. Hey, Claire, nice to see you again. Missed you a lot. I sent Michael 7,442 love letters to you, but he always threw them away. I don't think you got one of them, but you look great, and I'm happy you both made a very successful move to Indiana. I want to talk about the COVID, Mike. It's gotten really crazy here. I'm a member of a gym, which is like a public facility, and it's really nice. And great gym and pool and Japanese martial arts of archery and some pistol shooting. But when they finally opened up after 4 months, and when they open up, they're all wearing visors with plastic in front of their face and masks. And I finally went to work out in gym, and I was working out. And they make you wear a mask, but I kept my nose free. But they say, "Hey, man, you got to cover your nose." And so I finally had to quit. It's just getting too crazy over here. And but other places besides the government-owned facilities, I mean, they're pretty cool. My son was like, he's a Japanese action star, and he's like, "Yeah, Dad, just go to my gym. It's more money. I'm going to pay for it for you, and they're not making you wear the mask or anything like that." But as far as like the street traffic, everybody here is wearing a mask but I don't think it's because of the virus. It's just Japanese people are very polite. I don't know. How's it over there?
Well, it's kind of hit and miss. Some places mandate the masks, and other places it's like they just don't really care anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. Here it's like it finally went down to about 50 cases a day in Tokyo, which is a expanded city of 30 million people in it. So it goes up to 100 people, and the newspapers are like, "It's a second wave! It's a second wave!"
Yes.
It's 100 people now out of, I think the whole thing is overblown, actually, in my opinion. And I don't know, Dustin doesn't think so. I mean, he gets out of the basement and enjoys I just think it's all overblown. Like everybody, is doing this, and you're keeping in your home. You're destroying businesses. It's destroying the entire world economy. And personally, I mean, when I go around Tokyo, I have a mask on my head, but I don't wear it. But if I go into a store, and a lot of the people I know work in these stores, it's all in my neighborhood. Like I'll just put it on for politeness. But I'm not doing it for I'm scared of the virus. And that's all I have to say. And,
we're kind of the same way.
Weekend, Mike.
We have our masks, and if we go places where they're not wearing the masks, we don't wear ours. And if we go places, where the masks are mandated, we'll put them on. And as you say, it's out of politeness. It's not because we think the masks are really going to help. And I can't imagine trying to do a workout with any kind of mask on, because it's just going to limit how much CO2 you can get rid of and how much oxygen you can take in.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I got like dizzy in about 10 seconds of, I was just doing my push-ups, and, they said, hey, cover your nose. And I said, man, I can't be here anymore. But anyway, you two have a great weekend. Claire, give me a smile. Love you. Mike, love you too. And have a great weekend, you two. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. And we're going to take one more phone call before the lady Claire. So let's switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day to you, Michael, and good day to you, Claire. What's on my mind is, first off, they just had breaking news that 2 drinks a day actually stops you from getting dementia or Alzheimer's. I guess it's a good thing to have a beer or 2 a day. Those are what their experts are saying now.
I'm saved.
So, it might be a good idea. But the reason I really called now is yeah, double shot, whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, the reason I called this Sludge, Matt Sludge, the Freak Show, is actually promoting on his website. There's going to be a civil war, whether Biden or Trump wins. There'll be a civil war. And I read the article, and there's going to be 3 ways he assumes it's going to go down. So we'll see. So we'll see how that goes. But speaking of that, Michael, have you heard about the Mexican guy that ran into the white cop on his motorcycle? He wanted to kill a white Anglo and this guy's whiter than the cop, it looks like. And it was on Fond du Lake, Wisconsin. Have you seen that story?
No, I haven't.
It's all over Newsmax. It's all over Drudge. It's all over Breitbart. The Mexican, literally, you got to see the story, Mike. He ran right into the police officer. Guy's retired cop. He was helping.
Oh, yeah, I
kids
did
out.
see that. I did see that.
He ran his pickup truck, right into the motorcycle guy. His name was Philip. I forgot his name. Philip, white guy, murdered him in cold blood. And then he said because he was mad at his family, he wanted to go to prison, and he wanted to kill a white person. You need to look at that's unbelievable story. I can't believe what I was reading there. How they killed this guy. His name was Thiessen. That was his last name. Yes, and that was another breaking story on Newsmax and Breitbart. But Michael, the real story of today is: did you hear about the Chinese woman, the Chinese lab technician who was working in Wuhan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the story about what she's saying that they knew about this 4 or 5 months earlier? And when Trump got it, this was actually last summer, a year ago in July of last year. They knew about this virus because it had to do with SARS, the SARS virus.
Yes.
And they've harassed the Chinese Communist government's harassed her family, probably going to kill them. And she had to get out of China. And the FBI and everybody was waiting at the LAX for her to get off that plane so they could interrogate her. And she's dropping bombs left and right about what's going on with this virus and how it was mainly the Chinese who are basically wanting to cut their population down. After all, Michael, you said it on your show that once we get over 400 million in the United States, we're overpopulated. Well, China has got 1.4.2 billion in that country. So, and another thing I want to get out my chest real quickly. The other day I had the guy from Jersey calling him about who am I to HE double toothpicks that he'd talk about Trump's. I shouldn't tell how much Trump should be paying in taxes. Well, you know what? If Trump paid $1 billion in taxes to the federal government, would it be enough for him? So what? So he can have all these politicians give all these illegals free health care, and maybe he doesn't want his money to be spent like that. Maybe he doesn't want his money spent on giving all our jobs over to China. When you're a taxpayer and you're spending $1 billion for taxes. You know, this is corruption at its worst. What, a Democrat party so they can have more money and raise more money for their filthy party and their filthy ideology? No. My friend in Jersey, Trump already gave them plenty of tax money. He should be getting, once you hit $1 billion, you shouldn't have to pay a penny more than the taxes if you're a billionaire. I don't care what anybody says.
That's going to destabilize the economy, though. It's going to increase the wealth inequality, which is tearing us apart.
Well, if we put all the Americans in this country could be working instead of letting them get on food stamps and welfare and find them jobs and quit shipping our jobs overseas, maybe we could find the money to balance our budget and keep our country going on, you know, an even keel. But You know, Michael, right now they had on the news here in South Florida that Bezos is getting ready to put an Amazon big giant warehouse right here in Florida City area here in Florida.
Yes.
Because you know why he's doing that? Because he wants to be closer to Latin America, which makes sense to me. You know? So he's going to build this giant warehouse. Supposedly they're going to give him the land to do it. I don't know how it's going to go down, but we'll see. Should be interesting. But that's basically all I got, Mike. You know, other than the fact that all these people every day are bashing Trump, and Trump was on Hannity last night, Mike. And you hear what he said about Obama and Biden. They're treasonous. They committed treason against a president, a duly elected president. Obama, that Susan Rice, and Biden knew everything what they were doing to Michael Flynn. What they were doing to Michael Flynn was the biggest witch hunt of all times.
Yes.
And I still don't understand why this guy's pleading guilty. I just don't understand this whole case. Then you got this Judge Sullivan, who's a radical racist, who will do anything to take Flynn down. Maybe you could explain that more to us, Michael, because I don't understand how Biden and Obama are getting off of this. Why isn't Durham throwing the hammer down and say, no, you're indicted, we're going to investigate you with a grand jury. Obama, Biden, and all those cronies, Comey, all of them, they should be all put in jail. If that would have been the other way around and Trump would have been a president and Obama was coming in, Trump would be in handcuffs and in prison right now.
Yep.
Let's not kid ourselves. He would be in jail. So would Pence. So would all of them, the Republicans. Like I said, Michael, the white males you were the pioneers. Now they became the wussies. They become wussies and not pioneers. And that's the sad fact of this matter. And when you have Sludge, that filthy homo, talking about the Civil War and how it might go down and who could actually win the Civil War, that's disgraceful in itself for a news outlet to talk about that kind of treachery against our country. But you know what? He's basically telling the truth, pretty much on the money, I got to admit. The Democrats, no matter what, there's going to be a civil war in this country. That's what they're looking at. You got that pig Pelosi spewing crap out of her mouth about who cares about if they tear down the monument that went in the water. I've never seen. She's 80 years old. How does she have a face like that, Mike? How?
Plastic surgery. Better things for better living through chemistry.
Exactly. And, you know, just looking at this whole cabal of what's going on with this guy, de Blasio painting right in front of Trump's tower, Black Lives Matter. This guy, that de Blasio should be put in prison for all the people he's killed with these, and Como for all these people who are put in nursing homes, Mike.
Yeah, that was clearly a mistake.
He murdered those people. That was murder in the first degree, what Como and de Blasio did. And nobody's calling them out for it, Mike. Nobody. It's a shameful thing. These people had families, loved ones. It's absolutely insane. And then you got a lady from China admitting that the Chinese basically want to cut their population in half.
Yes.
And the generals say it all the time. You had Slick Willie, Bill Clinton, who I'm guaranteeing that Maxwell's going to drop a hammer on him. You watch. And and Bill Clinton is the one that gave the gyro system to China and Korea.
Yes.
Do a study on that. Who was the one that gave the rocketry to the Chinese and the North Koreans? That was Slick Willie. That perv. It's unbelievable what they get away with. But we'll see how this goes down this election. But I hope, Michael, you have a chance to read Sludge's report about the Civil War that's potentially going to happen here in the next year or so. It's really fascinating what he is putting in his Sludge report. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. As far as Trump paying taxes, the guy does pay a lot of taxes, and he gives up his whole salary to charity. So I want what's the name to know that. What other president gave their whole salary to charity? None. Trump gave his whole salary to $480,000 he makes to charity every year since he's been president. And look it up. You don't take a dime from his salary. He's doing the job for free. And actually, I think he fills up Air Force One with his own fuel.
I don't know about that last one.
Well, I've heard he, what he does with the fuel, he does contribute somehow. I don't know. I heard some story about that. And I'll tell you one thing, Mike. I have a few friends in the military, and they told me the military's gotten a lot stronger since Sortero Hussein Obama was president. Since Trump's taken over, the military really has increased its funding in a lot of ways. And by the way, Trump did give a lot of the police force to think.
I'm sorry?
Anyway, Michael, you and Claire have a wonderful weekend. Have a great weekend.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. We're going to close the phone lines for a little while. And for those of you watching on YouTube, this gorgeous creature sitting next to me with a brand new bracelet, show him the bracelet. There's the bracelet. Okay, is the lovely Lady Claire. And Lady Claire, what's your first story?
Well, the first story, it's kind of a follow-on to what Tom from Florida was saying. And I have to ask, Michael, with our military, I think we need perhaps more controls rather than less on the amount of spending, because the House Armed Services Committee, figuring that no one was paying attention in the middle of this pandemic, has just approved a huge military budget and more war in Afghanistan. And so while a lot of the country is just really struggling with COVID-19 and an unemployment crisis, and is separately focused on a sustained protest movement against police abuses, a massive $740.5 billion with a B military spending package was approved last week by the Democratic-controlled House Armed Services Committee. The GOP-controlled Senate Armed Services Committee will probably send this bill with little or no changes to the president to sign. Now, apparently, pro-war and militaristic Democrats on the committee joined with Congresswoman Liz Cheney and the pro-war faction she leads to form majorities which have approved one hawkish amendment after the next.
I remember the good old days when the Democrats were the party of peace, and it was the Republicans who always wanted to make war.
Yeah, I mean, hello. And this is going to also impede attempts by the Trump administration to withdraw troops from Afghanistan. And another amendment led by Republican Ruben Gallego, Democrat of Arizona, and Cheney blocked the White House's plan to remove 10,000 troops stationed in Germany. And while these two amendments were designed to block the Trump administration's efforts to bring troops home, the same bipartisan pro-war faction defeated two other amendments that would have imposed at least some minor limits on the Trump administration's aggression and militarism, one sponsored by a lady who is one of my heroes, Representative Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, pro-peace, military vet, very thoughtful, very well-spoken. The Democrats really closed ranks on her. To require the Republican administration a national security rationale before withdrawing. Tulsi Gabbard wanted to have a national security rationale before withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Treaty, the INF, signed with the Soviet Union in 1897, and another 1987, and another to impose limits on the ability of the U.S. to arm and otherwise assist Saudi Arabia to bomb Yemen. And Mike, what really disturbs me in all this is that every 4 years, no matter who says what, who has triumphed, it's usually the war party.
The war party.
Bipartisan, Republican and Democrat.
Candidates may come and candidates may go, but the war party goes on forever.
Yeah.
Until we lose a big one.
Yeah.
Then we'll get a good dose of humble.
That would not be a bad thing. And there is another article also from Zero Hedge from Charles U. Smith via Of Two Minds blog. And he talks about the structure of our society and saying we talk about self-rule and ownership of capital, but in reality, it's a neo-feudal oligarchy. Mike,
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, we're heading toward feudalism, where the money is actually owned by the banks and we're allowed to use it at a reasonable rate of interest. And that's not the way the economy started in this country.
No.
When the coinage was the money, the silver and gold and nickel and copper was the money. When it was in your possession, it was in your possession. Now we have these gas station game tokens, which symbolize the money, but the actual money, the actual worth, the buying power remains with the banks. We've got to take a break here for some commercials, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment getting worse.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And Claire, what is your next story?
Well, the next story is kind of sad, but logical. Apparently, New York Police Department has had to limit retirement applications. They've had a 400% surge this last week. And they are putting in for retirement faster than NYPD can handle, while citing both a lack of respect and a loss of overtime pay. And this surge has more than quadrupled last year's number as the city grapples with a surge of shooting and a stampede. And there's a stampede caused by a bottleneck that's forcing others to delay putting in their paperwork, officers and officials and sources said. Apparently, Wednesday, 179 cops have filed for retirement between June 29th and Monday, an astounding 411% increase over the 35 who filed during the same period in 2019. And the rush came through the door as 503 cops filed for retirement between May 25th, the day George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, and July 3rd. It represents a 75% increase over the 287 who filed for retirement during the same time last year. Now, sources said that basically people were dispirited and that due to cancellation of overtime for the workers who processed them. And so NYPD has had to limit the number of daily applicants,
Well, I can imagine if one is a police officer, looking at the current climate, you'd say, why do I bother?
Yeah.
You've got rioting in the streets. Nothing's happening to the rioters. We're only supposed to go on out, and arrest people who are defacing Black Lives Matter signs.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there are good cops, and I know because I have a retired one in my family. There are good cops who go by the book, who are logical and correct and good. And these people need to be lauded.
Yes.
For doing a good job. The bad apples, yes, they need to be culled because they're giving everyone.
They get all the press.
Yeah, they're giving everyone the proverbial black eye, and it shouldn't be that way.
You never see a headline in a newspaper, this cop did his job properly for this entire day.
Yeah, and and it's incidents like the following, though, that makes people see or think that all cops are bad. They're not. This comes from the Free Thought Project, again, a very thoughtful blog. Apparently, there was a kid, about 18, Andres Guardado, at no criminal history. Police began chasing him down and killed him last month. According to his family, he was working as a security guard at a repair shop in Los Angeles before police fired 7 shots into him. As witnesses say, he was on his knees with his hands behind his head. And after they killed him, police destroyed all the cameras that may have caught the interaction before stealing the DVR from the repair shop. Then, as they promised transparency, they blocked the results of the autopsy from the family. So the family had to do their own autopsy. Mike, this shouldn't be happening in this country ever. The autopsy revealed Guardado had no drugs or alcohol in his system and was shot 5 times with every single one of those rounds going into his back, on his knees, hands up. Andres' parents, Cristobal and Elisa Guardado, said the autopsy confirms what they'd known, that he was unjustifiably killed by a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy. And they said in a statement, he was a good boy, he was our son, and had so much life ahead of him. He didn't deserve to die this way. But we understand that there is still a long way to go, but we're going to continue to keep fighting for justice for Andres. And hopefully for other people as well, other families who've been through this kind of thing. Mike, I'd like to run a thought by you.
Okay.
In both teachers' unions and police unions, it's very, very hard to get rid of the bad apples because of the unions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when teaching went from being a profession to a trade, when they allowed the teachers to unionize, we saw the quality of education in this country decline.
Yeah.
And the same thing, anywhere there's a union, the bad apples are kept in, to possibly spoil the rest of them. The question I want to ask is, I want to take a survey of all these cops who've pulled a trigger on somebody without a good reason to do it and find out what antidepressants they're on, because we know from the study done down in Florida that police use far more of these kind of medications than the general population, 3 times as much, in fact. And that 25% of police are on some form of antidepressant. And we know from websites like ssrstories.org that these kind of medications can seriously disrupt your sense of restraint.
Yeah.
Okay. So for this guy to be, I want to know, what are they on? We got to take a break for commercials. We got callers waiting on the line. We're going to open the lines and we'll be right back.
You
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized, and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant them anywhere you like and blow up anyone. With this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did. The towers in New York.
Welcome back to our show here. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443, and we're going to take a call from John in California. Hello, John. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. Can you hear me?
I hear you. You're on the air.
Okay. Thank you. You and Claire, God bless you both that you're still on. Claire, I'm glad you're back. I love listening to you. Quick thing. The Washington Redskins. I have another name you want to call them? Call them the Washington Redlegs. Now, the reason for that name, there was a book that I read way back when there were whites, mostly Irish, Scotch, by the English, that were slaves in the Caribbean, I think mostly on Barbados.
Yes.
Some that survived and I think are still there were called the Redlegs because the sun made their legs red. And I'm studying that possibly some of on my father's side were from Ireland, might have been slaves down there. So that's my take on that. As far as law enforcement goes, I'm tired of what I feel all these people want to retire. I don't blame them. I think they're getting a bad rap. Like I said, the bad apples that take care of them and swiftly and quickly. And as far as the sheriffs go, and I know they're they follow under the Constitution because the sheriff is duly elected and not the police chief. But there's also a lot of problems where I've seen where sheriffs who've killed people,
yes,
all kinds, and they're not reported. They're not reported in the media, so that does happen. But it is a possibility. If you wanted to just, okay, we're going to disband the police, fine. We'll make them all sheriff's deputies, fine. Will they observe the Constitution? What do you think of that, Mike?
Well, it sounds like a workable plan, but workable plans only work if the individual people involved in them are going to stick by the rules. And sometimes, especially with law enforcement, you'll get the occasional bad apple who doesn't really care about the rules. They've grown up on TV shows about daring do and police officers kicking in doors and, just blowing some bad guy away without justification. And they think that's what the job is going to be, and they think that would be fun. And that's the attitude they take in. I have a half brother who was once a sheriff's deputy, as a matter of fact, and he wasn't shy about saying that he was just waiting for an opportunity to kill a black guy. And it sort of worried me that he was out there with a gun and a badge. Fortunately for the black guys, unfortunate for him, he suffered an accident to his hand and was taken off active duty.
Yeah, well, that's true. And lastly, about the unions, what's happened, a lot of these, at least in trades, we thought unions were good trades because they had somebody that trained them to do a job.
Yep.
Now you see them now. I was a member of the SEIU when I was a school bus driver back then, and that was our union. And all it was is they were just unionizing public employees and nonprofits, and that's all they cared about. They had no promise that they'd give you a trained person or somebody that didn't take drugs or alcohol. No guarantees. All they wanted to do was get the power. And I read today, I still get a newsletter, but I'm retired, that they're going for Joe Biden, which I'm not surprised. But then again, they said, well, there's these brain dead people, and all the pictures they're showing are women going for that. Well, how much do they know what Joe Biden has done to women? So, that's no help. Anyway, thank you both. God bless you both, and take care.
All right, we certainly will. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Mark in Florida. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Mike? No, actually, it's Mark in North Carolina. But anyway, I just want to say a comment on what you were talking about police and being on SRIs.
Yes.
Look, I think anybody in a job where you are authorized at times to use force, even deadly force, and carry a gun, even if you don't carry a gun, you should not be in a job like that. If you're that crazy, you shouldn't be hired in the first place. And if you become that crazy while you're on the job, your butt should be fired, period. If you cannot control yourself and you have to have these horrendous drugs, you don't belong on the job. The other thing is, too, is alcoholism is very bad among police, and it's not because of the stress of the job. It's because a lot of these guys like to drink. A lot of them were drinkers before they even went in a job. And, they should, again, if you're a lush, you shouldn't be a policeman, or you shouldn't have any other job like that. I even would go as far as I don't want to see truck drivers on SRIs for the obvious reason. When you go barreling down the road on an 18-wheeler and and you're on psych meds, that's not a very safe thing. Wouldn't you say so, Mike?
I would definitely say so. Well, before you go to this other comment here, there are several states right now where when you fill out the application for a gun permit, they now ask you, are you on any kind of antidepressants? And if you answer yes, you're not going to get that gun permit.
And you know what? For once, I'm totally Second Amendment. I believe in constitutional carry. But in that case, if you're that crazy already, you don't need a gun. Matter of fact, I don't even know if you should get a driver's license. You certainly shouldn't be driving a truck. Okay?
Maybe that's what happened to that guy who almost rammed us this morning.
Oh, that was scary.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing I just want to comment to Tom in Florida. No, we don't need a bigger military, and that's why. And I don't compliment Trump for so-called strengthening the military. He just put more money into it. He didn't really strengthen it. That's a bad thing. If anything, the one halfway decent thing Obama did is he did I think he did lower the military budget to a degree. We don't need this big of a military. We could cut that military by 3/4 and still be able to defend this country, and that's all
Yes.
we should do. We don't need an empire, and that's it, Mike. Thanks.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Hello, Dustin. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind today?
Mark, hit it with that. Don't need an empire. That's why how much $800 billion a year. That's what you know that they're getting. It's not
Yes.
what you don't know how much they're getting. Because remember, that does not include the wars, right? That budget only includes. That doesn't include Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syrian war, right?
Yes.
That's just the budget.
They get separate funding.
Yeah. So I mean,
And
yeah.
then
it's
there's
just-
the black projects, which the funding for those are hidden
yeah,
like the Department of Agriculture.
That's right. Hey, Mike, and remember this. Remember, Trump, didn't he say, I don't remember, he said he was going to get out of all these wars. Because I'm going back to this,
Yes.
Tom, and all this, Mark, and, well, Mark knows. And, but he never got out of them. I mean, Congress can block things, but remember, Trump put the Joint Chiefs of Staff in, right? He put in the Defense Secretary, Mark Esper, who was just like, wasn't he from Raytheon or Lockheed Martin? I mean, he put in all the people that we always bitched about, right?
Yeah.
What's changed?
Nothing. Absolutely
You
nothing.
know?
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I remember when Trump came on out and said we're pulling out of Syria. Now we're building new air bases there. So in terms of presidents may be able to start wars on their own now, which they're not supposed to, but apparently they can't stop them once they're underway.
And why not?
I don't know.
Because we're an empire.
Yes.
And there's a lot more going on than any president, Trump, Biden, Bush, Clinton, can ever do to fix things. And Mike, you mentioned
I
the
got to
Panama
tell you right
Canal.
now, I got to tell you, if this was Star Wars, we'd all be talking with British accents.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, the British government's not in good shape because they are. I don't know if you watched that Duran thing about the Skripals with.
Yes, Skripal.
The
Yeah.
British government is. Yeah, they're corrupt. I mean, Mike, look what they did to the Indians and the Chinese, and Scotland and Ireland. The British government is a piece of crap too. I mean, it's just. It's not the people who live there. It's the government. It's the hierarchy. You know, it's the oligarchy that run things that they're
Yes.
just garbage. You know, and we're never going to get, you know what, human beings, I don't think can ever get rid of garbage, right, Claire? Like, we can't get rid of human beings have that, there's always garbage in the human beings, you know, like there's always that person that wants to get ahead and will step on people's backs. Get it, either in corporate head or government head, right? Like, I mean, it's just, and Mike, before I get from, this is to James from Tokyo. James, you know, a virus don't have legs. A virus don't have arms. And you're breathing heavy in the gym. It's waiting for you. You know, like, I mean, be your own gym, dude. Buy your own equipment. Work out at home with your son.
That's good advice.
You know?
Very, very good
Yeah, I mean,
advice. You know, gyms are ideal places to spread a contagion. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just breathing; it's sweating. It's leaving your sweat on the various equipment. That's you know, and I noticed a lot of these gyms are saying how they clean and sanitize the equipment in between each user. I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah.
Because it is impossible. I mean, this is not, Mike, you know, I call in. Claire knows that. I get called, you know, people call in here. They say it's a hoax or viruses. You only can inject them or this or that. I call in. I got ridiculed, right? What's going
Yes.
on in Arizona, Florida, California, right? And Texas? What's going on there? You know, and Mike, by the way, Australia, not Victoria, which is, you know, but Melbourne and stuff, they're actually, Australia is blocking anybody who's not Australian from coming in. So, I mean, something's going on here. For people to say this ain't nothing or it's overblown, we don't know, okay? Like, I keep bringing that back. Since we don't know, you want to take the safer route. You know, safer than sorry. proactive versus reactive. You know, like don't be stupid. That's it. You know, like masks will not 100% protect you, but it is something rather than nothing. Mike, have a good night and a good show. Hi, Claire.
Take care.
Okay, so what is your next story, Claire?
Well, the next one is, I know that you've covered a little bit of this earlier on in the show, but it comes to us again from Zero Hedge. And if you've never read that particular blog, I think that you would be well advised to just look, you know, with an educated eye. But what this article is talking about is Ghislaine Maxwell, Wall Street Secrets, and the U.S. Attorney's Office. And it's been 14 years that the Department of Justice has been sitting on a case against Maxwell. The Palm Beach, Florida Police Chief Michael Reiter handed a deeply investigated case against both Epstein and Maxwell over to the FBI in July of 2006, according to the very intense reporting of Julie Brown in the Miami Herald in November of 2018. Now, Brown indicated that it just took 8 months of FBI interviews for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Florida to have a 53-page, that's pretty lengthy, a 53-page federal indictment ready to file against Epstein involving sexual assaults against dozens of underage girls. But the indictment never got filed.
Imagine my shock.
A deal was worked out by then U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta and Epstein's well-connected lawyers. Federal charges were dropped against Epstein, and he was allowed to plead guilty only to Florida state charges, 1 count of soliciting sex from a minor and 1 count of soliciting sex from an adult woman.
I didn't realize that last one was a crime.
Yeah, okay.
I take back what I said last night.
Oh, Epstein was able to serve just 13 months in jail while also given a work release program to sit in his well-appointed office 12 hours a day and driven around by his chauffeured limo. The deal was so outrageously constructed that it denied his victims knowledge of the terms of the deal.
I remember when they found out.
And it was only because of the public outrage that was unleashed by Brown's reporting in the Miami Herald and her own very emotional personal video interviews with Epstein's victims that finally the Justice Department was forced to bring new charges in 2019. Now, these charges were brought by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, the same office that just indicted Maxwell. Now, apparently, there was an earlier attempt to shame the Justice Department into action in 2016. Now, there's a very well-known and best-selling author, James Patterson, working together with John Connolly and Tim Malloy, who released a detailed investigative book on Epstein titled Filthy Rich in October of that year. Now, the book mapped out in detail Epstein's sexual assaults on young girls and the corrupted process involving the Justice Department that got him off the hook for his serial crimes. Patterson included a July 24th, 2006 letter that Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter sent to the parents of a young girl who accused Epstein of assaulting her when she was 14. Reiter wrote the parents, "I do not feel that justice has been sufficiently served by the indictment that's been issued. Please know that this matter has been referred to the FBI to determine if violations of federal law have occurred. In the event the FBI should choose to pursue the matter, the Palm Beach Police will assist them in their investigation of potential violations of federal law." But before Epstein could be brought to justice and witnesses called in an open public trial in the matter of the Southern District of New York, he allegedly died under some very suspicious circumstances in a federal prison in New York City. The death was ruled by suicide by the New York Medical Examiner. So, what is the deal for keeping Maxwell alive and safe by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York? And why, Michael, has she been moved in the very same prison system, this time at the Metropolitan Detention Center in the Sunset Park neighborhood of Brooklyn? And a lot of powerful Wall Street people would certainly love for this case to go away.
Not just Wall Street, not
Oh,
just
yeah.
Wall Street. Yeah. I don't think Maxwell's going to make it. They're already telegraphing suicide.
Yeah.
They're pre-selling the cover story.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, we're almost out of time here. I'm going to grab 2 more phone calls.
Okay, great.
Miles in Maine, I'm going to have to take you through in fact, we're going to kill the last commercial break. Miles in Maine, what's on your mind?
How are you, Michael? Yeah, I just wanted to remind us that 99% of the people are being cured from this. And so
Yeah.
we do know that it's hoax. We do know that it's nonsense. The only people that don't are, I guess, people that are way behind the curve, Dustin, because it's pretty obvious and clear now, what this is about. It's your general flu virus. There is a virus. It's a flu virus. And it does assault the elderly, the compromised, and those kind of people. And we do know that. And anything other than that, we know is a hoax. And it's designed for our consumption. It's designed to do things like it's doing to you, who I don't know why you would ever believe the authorities' word. You were always opposed to that. Now you believe everything they say. I don't understand that. But, if you want to curl up in your house and get in a ball and get in a bubble and put on your mask and put on your gloves and jump in a jumpsuit and whatever you want to do, I think you should do it. But leave everybody else alone, because we're not buying it. Most of this planet's not buying it anymore. And it's getting more and more exposed anyway, so every day. So whatever you're believing, you go ahead and continue to believe. But you know what? Everybody else is seeing through this. And, these numbers just aren't panning out. You got to look at the facts. And, the facts are other than what you cite as government statistics or authoritarian statistics from CDC or whoever it might be. Steve Elkins has directly addressed you several times, to which you've had no response. So your only response is keep wearing masks, wear whatever, gloves, whatever, wear a condom. I don't know what it is, but Dustin, I think it's really time for you to get off this. Michael, thank you. Have a great show.
All right, same to you here, and we're going to switch to Stacy in Florida. Stacy, you there?
Oh, yes. Good afternoon, Mike and your beautiful wife. We enjoy her on Friday. I just wanted to say a couple things quick, and I tend to talk fast because I always like to give the next person in line a chance to talk. But the latest thing that de Blasio had spoken with the man from CNN there, Wolf Blitzer. Are you aware of what he spoke to him about?
No, I'm not. Please enlighten us.
Okay. He claims that the protests are okay, to gather, and it says that he's not going to stop them, no matter whether people get sick or not. That is quite a statement. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that's he's playing politics with people's lives with that one. There are people now in California and Texas who are saying that, yes, allowing these protests to pile several thousand people into a very tiny area in the streets does appear to have triggered a spike in COVID-19 infections.
Yeah, there was some commentary. Buck Sexton wrote some commentary, and he said, so these outdoor events that bring together the community and let people enjoy their lives are banned. But de Blasio thinks thousands of shrieking protesters screaming in each other's faces for hours is awesome, and we need more of it.
Yes.
So that really squashes anybody that is trying to not get sick. Wear your mask. Anyway, but the other thing I want to say, if I have time, is back in 2009, many of the movers and shakers, the billionaires of this world, got together and are pushing for depopulation, and those very people are the empty suits that we see on TV now. We all know who they are, and they're telling us, oh, take care of your health, wear your mask, and stay 6 feet apart, and talk about double speak. If that isn't double speak, what is? Say they want to save our lives, but they want to kill us at the same time. So who would listen to them?
Well, the biggest problem I've had with this whole COVID-19 is the fact that nobody really seems to know what's going on. Everybody's guessing, and there's so much of this information being put out that directly contradicts, other information. And going back to that idea where any kind of outdoor gathering is bad, but rioters tearing down a statue of an escaped slave is a good thing, even though people are getting sick from it.
Yeah, and of course Kanye West is in the limelight now, maybe trying to run for president, but he's going to probably not have favorable response after his statement of they want to drag this thing out so that they can chip us all. And that was quite a blatant statement on his part, too.
Well, Kanye's not going to go anywhere because he's already missed the filing deadline in 6 states.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, there's a bunch of empty suits there that people are following, and it's pretty disgraceful at this point, the way I see it. And I'm probably out of time, am I?
Well, yes, you are, because I've got one more call I want to squeeze in here before the end of the show. So we're going to let you go, Stacy, and go with Tom in Utah. Tom, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, I just wanted to remind the individual that's worried about getting infected at a gym, the halide salts in your skin are one of the most effective sanitizing agents there are. Plus, you also have acids that come out on the skin. Plus, your skin is exposed to sunlight, oxygen, atomic particles. So it's pretty rare that any organism gets to live on your skin for any more than a few seconds. That is the fact in pathology. So I never worry about going to a gym, but I do worry about going to the fast food bar, because the fomite that has to be presented to transfer these organisms has to be blood or flesh, and that is the fact. Cannot survive outside of that blood and flesh fomite package. Sweat on a bar or sweat on an exercise machine cannot get you sick. That is the reality. I've had to deal with cases in court.
Okay, Tom. Thanks a lot for that information. And for those who are unfamiliar with the term, fomites basically refers to that smear that is left behind when your fingers touch a smooth surface, and that can carry illnesses. And it's true. Exposed to sunlight and ultraviolet.
You cannot. It has to be blood and fat. That's the reality.
So that's the reason you think that the fast food restaurants are such a danger.
That's right. That's the medium in which these organisms survive and transfer. I've had to deal with cases after cases with that. You get to hear the bullshit, of these people who have no clue. They might have been an actor in a movie for a doctor, as a doctor.
Yeah.
They have never done the real pathology.
All right. Well, listen, have a good weekend. We got to let you go. We're out of time. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of RBN. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need the money so bad, I can't tell you. And we'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Aloha, America.